representative from Engineers Without Borders. Engineers Without Borders is looking for people who might be interested in joining that group. They have some really nice projects going on. You don't have to be an engineer to join the organization. And then after that, we have Mr. Doug Green, who will talk to you about some of the resources that are available here in the way of academic success. And there's also opportunities for others who might be interested in becoming tutors.
Good morning. My name is Zach Liston. I'm a sophomore in double major in software engineering and computer science. I'm the treasurer for Engineers Without Borders. Just want to tell you a little bit about this organization. Last year was our first year on campus. I joined as a freshman, and over the year we designed this project to implement a rainwater catchment system for a school in Rwanda. And over the summer we actually went to Rwanda and built this system for 2 weeks in July. So what we do is every year we find a project that needs to be done in some country, usually a third world country. And during the year, we talk to people there, usually through email, and design the project, figure out exactly what they need. And then during the summer or spring break, or sometimes even Christmas break, we'll go there and implement the project. And right now, our next project is looking like it's going to be in Ecuador. Not sure about that yet, but it's a good possibility. Although most of you here are probably engineering majors, the organization isn't just for engineers, as the name might imply. It's kind of like an engineering business. You need business majors to help run it, marketing majors to get your name out there, even graphic design majors to help with the advertising. So if you're not necessarily an engineer, which I assume most of you are anyways, this organization still could be a fit for you. But
my name is Doug Green, and I help to direct the academic support services out of the Rinella Center here at Miami. If you can envision the Rinella Center as sort of equal to the School of Engineering and Applied Science, you have the School of Engineering and Applied Science, which is this sort of umbrella that covers computer science, engineering, nursing, all the departments that are underneath it. The Rinella Center is very similarly situated in that it is the umbrella organization that houses lots of different offices, all in one way or another, designed to provide academic support to Miami students in general. I have to really make one comment on what was on the board that I'm assuming was from an article that you all had to read. And not only did it look like it was pretty valuable information for any student who's attempting to navigate the curriculum, but I think it really shows the value of liberal education. I hear students complaining all the time about, oh, this Miami plan, I'm an engineering major, I just want to do engineering classes, and I'm a psychology major, I'm a math major, why do I have to take this English? That's a perfect example of why. You know, there is a very important concept taken from the discipline of psychology and moved into engineering, which, if you really understand metacognition, will really benefit you in sort of honing your skills in learning in engineering. So I think that's a real testament to the interdisciplinary nature of liberal education, like you're getting here at Miami. And there is value in all of the classes that you take. Even though at the time you're taking them, you're sitting there saying, why am I in here? You need to look for the lessons that you can take and apply in your particular field of study. And I just think that was an excellent example, and I couldn't help but comment on it. Educational psychology is my undergrad and graduate work. It's been my whole life, trying to figure out how people learn best and try to figure out how to help people learn to learn. And metacognition is an important part of that. Okay, so anyhow, the Rinella Center, this umbrella. I'm going to talk to you about a few of the offices that pertain, I think, to services that would be beneficial to students in general. I'm going to start with what we call the academic support services. And academic support services meeting with specialists. Most of the full-time personnel at the Rinella Center have backgrounds, master's and doctoral work in fields of learning, psychology, educational psychology. And so they have spent their entire life, as many of you will spend most of your time studying engineering, they have spent their whole life studying how people study, studying what kinds of techniques work best in what kinds of information. It's not about the courses, it's about the kind of information that you're being asked to master in a particular class. And the one thing that this is not is academic advising. Academic advising takes place in the academic division. But what do you do with your schedule? Academic counseling sessions revolve around lots of different things. As you can everybody see that? It looks a little blurry from here, but is it clear to you? But we're talking about the things outside of the content that very much determine your level of success in a particular class, the way you manage the time, the way you think about the information that you're being asked to master, what kinds of note-taking strategies, work best in what kind of disciplines. You know, the thing to think about as a college student, and I think most of you in here probably are experiencing it right now, you know, you go from this class to a math class, to a science class, to a history class, to an English class. And if you think about those classes in terms of what you're being asked to do, what you're being asked to produce, what you're being asked to produce is often very different from one class to another, is it not? I see any heads shaking? In other words, the kinds of information you're dealing with and what you're being asked to do with it is very different. And so it should seem logical that if you're applying the same strategies and techniques and sort of doing the same routines across all those classes, you're probably not being most effective in one or more of the classes, because it's logical to me. If I'm being asked to do different things with the information, then I should probably be doing different things in handling that information. Those are the kinds of things we talk to students about, not to determine whether or not you pass or fail, but determine how you can maximize the results that you get from your efforts. So the academic counseling is part of that. There is also, many of you may have gotten emails about our workshop series. Anybody gotten any of those emails from the Rinella Center? Raise your hand. Well, you've all gotten them. You might not have seen them. All first year and second year students receive notification of these emails, of these workshops. Workshops are not designed to fix somebody. Workshops are designed to get you thinking about thinking, which is what? What is thinking about thinking? Metacognition, right. And that's sort of what the workshops are designed to do, to get you thinking a little purposefully about how you do what you do. And before you really, we are creatures of habits. And so we develop habits, and they serve us good at one point in time, and we keep on using them. We don't think about them. It just becomes part of who we are. And so the workshops are designed to give you a little taste of, okay, well, here's how people do it other than how you do it. And so they're a way to get a little taste of these topics: note-taking, test-taking, study strategies, time management, just to sort of get you thinking in terms of, am I operating in the most effective way that I could be operating in this particular class, in this particular semester, in this particular point in time. Now, as an adjunct to that, people who attend the workshops usually walk away with a workshop pamphlet that sort of outlines the topics that are covered in the workshop. So if you can't make a workshop, these are available on our website just by clicking on them. So you can have the experience without really having the experience, if that's the way you want to roll. This is the unit that also provides first-year intervention, second-year intervention, students who trip a little at the beginning, and we have courses that we offer that go into a lot of the topics that are covered in the counseling and in the workshops, but they go much more in depth. It's a 2-credit hour class, EDT 110. You may or may not want to take a look at that course as you go through the year. Okay, the second area. Oh, well, I'm going to do that at the end. No, I'm going to do it right now. Underneath the academic counseling sessions, I told Bob I wanted to show you this just as an example. It happens to be one of the best databases in the country. It's not at Miami, but we provide a link to it. It comes from Muskingum College. Anybody ever hear of Muskingum College? The folks at Muskingum College have probably been studying things like metacognition and learning for longer than any other organized unit, collegiate unit in the United States. They've published some of the best stuff, and they have this amazing website. And this link is down here, www.muskingum.edu, and it takes you to, they have this huge database. They got these $1 million grants to put together this information that allows you not only, as you see here, to look at general purpose learning strategies, but actually to go down here into the content. And so you find things like economics, chemistry, things that all engineering majors have to do a little work in, and it sort of takes you to a group of strategies, including note-taking. In other words, based on the information that I'm being faced with in a chemistry class, are there more or less effective ways of taking notes? Based on the content, based on the material. And turns out, research shows that there are more effective ways of taking notes in chemistry than and they're sometimes very different than history. So this is a place where you can go to sort of get a feel for how you're doing and how it compares to what experts suggest is an effective and efficient way in that particular content based on the information, the kinds of information and the things you're being asked to do with it. So that's all under the academic support and academic counseling. Next thing I'm going to go to is tutorial assistance. Miami actually first started offering tutoring here in 1912. That was the first organized attempt by Miami University to provide tutoring for Miami students. All the way up in 1973, the first official office that provided that was established. In 1982, that office, which was then the Office of Developmental Education, became the Office of Learning Assistance. That's what it was when I came on board. And then recently, probably about 8 years ago, it was renamed the Rinella Learning Center. So I tell you that just to make you aware of the fact that tutoring is being offered here a long time. So usually things that are around for a long time are usually pretty good. If they're not valued and don't have much worth, they usually go by the wayside pretty quick. So it's been a long history and has grown dramatically. Last year, one-on-one tutoring, we provided almost 20,000 hours of individual tutoring. And contrary to popular belief, most of the people using tutoring services are not struggling students. A good percentage, perhaps around 50% of the students that use tutoring are B students. But guess what? They want to get an A. And so they're taking every opportunity to get an edge. Now, there are people who are struggling in classes who get tutoring to try and make them help, but that is not the general population of students accessing lots of our support services. So we have one-on-one tutoring. Now, the expectation of the client cannot be that they're going there to be taught, because tutors are not faculty. They're not instructors. They're not content area experts. But they are students who have excelled. They are students who have already taken the class. They are students who have a faculty who has recommended them as a tutor for that class. And they've already gotten the A or the B. They've already been there, done that. So bottom line is they must have done something right. And so our expectation of tutors is not that they can sit there and answer your questions. But it very much is our expectation that when you bring questions, they should be able to help you find the answers to those questions. So they're talking about practicing, applying, and integrating the concepts you're trying to master in the course, clarifying the course content and specific questions. Sometimes it's good just to check into somebody. I always tell students, listen, tutoring is not going to make not likely to make the difference between failing and passing. Your efforts have a lot more to do with that. But if you're going to spend the time that is necessary to master the content of any particular course, so in other words, if you are a serious student and you're saying, hey, I'm going to put forth the effort to get the grade in this class, so you're going to be doing 4, 5, 6 hours of work a week for that class, what can it hurt to take one of those hours and spend it with somebody who's already mastered the course? What can it hurt? Generally, it usually helps. We also have, and I think it's on, let's see. No, maybe okay. Is anybody in a class now where there was an announcement made at the beginning of the semester that there was going to be supplemental instruction attached to that class? I see a few hands. What class is it? 151. Math 151? Physics 181? Okay. Supplemental instruction is probably, when you talk about evaluating, okay, what is the efficacy of the various things that we offer to support students in class. So you've got one-on-one tutoring, you've got group tutoring in certain classes, and then you've got this thing called supplemental instruction. Supplemental instruction was designed at the University of Missouri, Kansas City, I think, about 15, 16 years ago. And while individual tutoring is really based on your particular need in any particular course, supplemental instruction attempts to identify courses within the university curriculum that provide difficulties to everybody. I mean, they're the tough courses. You know, you've heard it. Chemistry, physics, calculus. The deadly combination. So what supplemental instruction does is identify those courses that present challenges to lots and lots of students. And a supplemental instruction leader is hired. Now, to become a supplemental instruction leader, generally you're a major in the discipline. Most certainly you have taken the course and mastered it. And also, again, generally, you've probably taken it with the same instructor. And we recruit instructors in those classes to work with the SI leaders. We actually pay the SI leaders to attend the class over again. So unlike a one-on-one tutoring experience that you might have with a student who took calculus last year with Tom Farmer, but you're in it this year with Paula Burkett, same content, maybe a little different approach in the pedagogy, the teaching of the class. This person is actually going to be in the class with you. Not enrolled in the class, already been enrolled, but it's going to be paid to go there, so that those supplemental instruction leaders know what you did that day. They know how it was presented. They know how your particular instructor is working. And then they are paid also for prep time, because we expect them to prepare for their SI sessions. And then they hold 1, 2, or 3 supplemental instruction sessions. We get them a classroom, and they hold these sessions, these review sessions, 1, 2, or 3 times a week for anyone in that class that wants to come. It's open to everybody. You don't have to schedule an appointment. You don't have to have permission. You just go. The statistics, and somewhere along the line you will learn that statistics are only as good as their interpretation. The statistics indicate that students who regularly attend supplemental instruction. Now, I don't mean those students who pile into the room the day before the test. That's pretty ineffective. But the students who regularly attend supplemental instruction when it is available in a class, the numbers show they score almost a whole letter grade higher than those who don't. Now, don't be fooled by that, because part of that is probably attributed to the fact that it's the smart kids that are choosing to go to supplemental instruction. But clearly there is a clear difference between students who participate. We consider supplemental instruction our highest level of student support. And so if you're in a class with supplemental instruction, there's probably not going to be a tutor available for you in that class. We're going to probably insist that you attend those SI sessions. Not because we don't want you to have a tutor, but because we want you to be in the best level of support for any particular class that you're in. And we have clearly found over the year that SI is that best level of support. So take advantage of it. It likely will serve you well. Okay. I also want to talk a little bit about, I remember I told you we're the umbrella for lots of different offices. We also house the Office for Learning Disability Services. And I want to talk a little bit about that because a lot of people have a misconception about what a learning disability is. And a lot of people think it's just these students that have a hard time learning, and there's not very many of them. If I were to apply the generally accepted, everybody, well, you might not know what prevalence is. Prevalence is a term that's used in statistics to estimate what percent of the time a certain phenomenon occurs. It may be a prevalence of a medical condition, a prevalence of red-haired people in the population. If I were to apply generally accepted prevalence statistics for learning disabilities to the entire undergraduate student population at Miami University, there would probably be 1,400 people that technically have learning disabilities. And so it's a fairly common phenomenon. And so we identify a lot of students each year who come to Miami who have never before imagined that they might have a learning disability. So that's where students go for services. It's also where students go who are experiencing particular difficulties that they may or may not feel are sort of out of the norm, totally different than anything else I've experienced before. Sometimes it can be because of those mechanical things that we try to address in tutoring and supplemental instruction and academic counseling, the study strategies, those types of things very often are the cause of it. It's also possible that there could be a learning disability that's never before been discovered. That's where you would go if you have questions about that. Okay? Does anybody have any questions at this point? I'm doing all the talking, but I want to entertain any questions before you know it, our time will be gone. Anybody? Yeah.
You mentioned the SI students that are in the past. Do they express which class the SI students are in, or is that something you find out when you go to the learning center?
I'm sorry, I didn't get all that.
The SI students, if there's an SI student in your past, are they identified at the beginning of the course, or is that something you find out later?
Generally, because it's such a coordinated effort with faculty and classes, and faculty have to do some work for the program too, so we usually don't know till the beginning of the year exactly what classes we're going to have it available in. That is announced generally at the beginning of the class, sometime within the first 2 or 3 weeks. I do have this year's schedule. Let's see, where is it? That's typically accounting 221, 222, chemistry 141, 142, econ, MBI, math 151, stats, and ZO. They historically are the courses that are most likely to have SI in it. Not all sections of all those courses will have SI, only particular sections. Somewhere in here I have the schedule. Oh, here it is, currently. If it works. It was just put on there yesterday. There it is. Now, whether you can see that or not, can you see it? We have Business 101, Chem 141 and 142, Chemistry Section A, 141 Section A, 142 AB, 242 Econ, 201 Section D, C, and D through F, and H, and I, and J. So Econ's quite a few sections of Econ. Math 151, there are looks like about 10 or 12 sections of Math 151. If your instructor in Math 151 is Paula Burkett, Dan Pritikin, Josh Wagner, Laura Anderson, or Kim Rettert, you probably have SI in that class. Stat 261, Aaron Bogan. Chem 141, Ellen Yazurgursky. Probably butchered that one. So you can see, you have to sort of, you can go on here, you can look at the schedule, see if your particular section has SI. If your particular section does not have SI, then you can apply for a tutor in that particular course.
Is that open to any section, or is it just for students from that section?
It's just for students from that section. It's very section specific. Now, it's usually by instructor. So instructors teach multiple sections. Generally, if they have SI, SI is included for all their sections.
In order to attend, do you have to be from that section?
Yes. Yes. Was there another question back there? Okay. Anything else? That's really hard to tell because there are different reasons why you would be on a wait list. One reason is we don't have a tutor for that particular class. The other reason, and what's generally more likely, is when you go in to sign up for a tutor, which I'm going to show you in a minute, you are asked to put in times that you would be available to have a tutoring session. And so what lots of students do, they say, well, I usually eat lunch at 11, so I won't put that in there, but I will put 12, when they could have just as easily put both 11 and 12. And if they get a tutor at 11, they eat at 12. If they get a tutor at 12, they eat at 11. So you really need to maximize the times, because what the computer does is all the tutor schedules are in there, and the computer for the first appointment just simply looks for someone who has one of the same open times as you've indicated you have. And that's how the matches are made. So oftentimes, it's a matter of there wasn't a match, nobody had a matching time. So it can take as few as a couple days, it can take a couple weeks. There are some times when matches can't be made. So you just need to keep going in there, putting as many hours as you can. Rest assured that the centers at the tutoring center, science, math, business, humanities, are all organized by a graduate assistant, a full-time graduate assistant that we have there. And there are head tutors in all of those, and they are constantly mining those lists. So what happens at the beginning of the semester is John Jay applies for a job tutoring in physics, and he gets his caseload in physics. He didn't put chemistry because he really wants to tutor physics. But you look at his record, he took chemistry and got an A. So a lot of that mining goes on the first 4 or 5 weeks to try and find, okay, what else can our current tutors tutor? What else are they qualified to tutor? You know, they have to have a recommendation. They have to have a grade in the class. So there's no particular set time. I wish I could tell you there was. Yeah.
How much do tutors get paid?
Aha. Tutors get paid somewhere around $7 an hour. I can't tell you exactly, but it's the student wage. It's what students get paid as student wage. Which leads me to my final point, which is to say that our tutoring center is a certified center. We're certified by the National College Reading and Learning Association. And as such, we certify our tutors. The Rinella Center in 2009 won the national award for the #1 learning center in any college or university in the United States. And last year, our tutorial assistance program, fondly called TAP, T-A-P, actually was named the Outstanding Tutoring Center of the Year by the national organization. So we're pretty structured. Our systems are pretty streamlined. It is a fantastic student job. I can think of none better. Most of the people that tutor in our area of biological science do it because they blow the socks off the MCAT when they eventually take it. You know, when you take a test, a lot of your graduate exams, when you go to take those exams, 50% or more of the material on the exams are actually coming from courses that you might not have had for a year or two. That's why Kaplan makes a gazillion dollars offering refresher courses and take the GRE and the GMAT classes. Our tutors rarely take any of those, and they blow the socks off the MCAT because they've been tutoring and staying fresh in those courses all along. So from a learning standpoint, it's a great job. From a resume standpoint, it's a fantastic job. Employers love to see that kind of stuff on your resumes. And it's a great feeling. It's a great feeling to help your fellow students master something that you've already sort of got down pat. It's a great job because you set your own hours. You put in there what hours you want to work. If you want to work 6 hours a week, that's fine with us. In fact, if you're in some of the courses that you guys will be taking, you can probably work as few as 4 hours a week if that's what you want to do. If you have a semester where you can afford 10 hours a week, you can work 10 hours a week. But you decide what those hours are, and you put them in the system. So you gain a certification, you gain a great bullet point on your resume. We write recommendations for our tutors. Every year we are writing huge numbers of recommendations for grad programs, for employment. I had, over the last 2 years, I had one interview about a former student that was with Naval Intelligence, and my interview lasted 3.5 hours. So it's really a terrific experience, and really what made me excited about coming and making this presentation is the opportunity to tell you all how great a job it is, in the hopes, because we're always looking for tutors in the sciences, in physics, in chemistry, in engineering classes. The need is pretty great, and it's a great job. And it's pretty easy. You can just go on the website. There's an application to be a tutor, to become a tutor. I also want to real quickly, I probably don't have time. In order to request a tutor, for those of you who don't know, it's really pretty simple. I was going to show you, but I really don't think I have time to navigate it. You go to www.muohio.edu, Miami University's homepage, and then you just simply put a / and tutoring. And it'll take you to our tutoring website, which we fondly refer to as Bernie, Bernard B. Rinella, Jr. The center was endowed by parents of a student who was a Miami student who died tragically quite a few years back, who had really used Learning Center services, and in his memory, the parents gave a lot of money and recruited other people to give a lot of money, thus the name Bernard B. Rinella Jr. Learning Center. System's called Bernie. It asks you to sign in with your unique ID and password, and when you do, magically, your schedule will appear. And as your schedule appears, there'll be buttons next to all of the courses. You click on the button that you want to request a tutor for that course, and it leads you through a series of prompts which gets you to the page that I was speaking to this young lady about, where it asks you to put in all of the times that you would be available, and then the computer attempts to make a match with a tutor that has the same open time. So, http://www.muohio.edu/tutoring. Pretty simple. Or you can put the Rinella Center in the web finder for the university. It'll take you to this page. Go down to tutorial assistance. Right there, register for a tutor. And down here, apply to be a tutor. I really hope that you will at least entertain the thought of giving back. Questions? Bob, you got any questions? No? Okay, I need somebody to come up and sign in. Now, I'm going to register you for a tutor, but I'll take you out of it when I get back to the office. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Okay, so you're going to click on register for a tutor. There's Bernie. Oh, wait a minute. Here, go up here, hit register for tutor. There you go. Now sign in. Okay, so you've got to read a little bit. These are the terms and conditions of the tutoring. Tutoring is free. Well, actually, tutoring is not free, and this is my little pet peeve here. Anybody know what's worse than not using something that's free? Huh? Not using something that you've already paid for, and in effect, you've already paid for tutoring. We're covered by your general fees. The only time you will be charged is if you make an appointment and don't show up. And then you're charged a no-show fee because we pay the tutor to show up and we expect you to show up. But tutoring is already something that's included in your general fees. So she's going to click yes, that she agrees, and there is her schedule. You can click on physics. It will ask you some questions, and the purpose of this is to give the tutor a little background information on how you're functioning in the class right now, so they don't have to spend a whole lot of time with you in the beginning doing an interview and all that. So, yeah, I don't think you have to fill all that out. I don't think. Might tell you. Yeah. Uh-oh.
They're all required.
Oh, well, just type some letters in there. Okay. Now, your background information. Now, here's the blocks that it shows you. As you notice, there's hours 8 to 8. Last appointment being scheduled at 7, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Friday, 8, last appointment at 4. And so you maximize your opportunity to get a tutor the more open times that you indicate. So obviously you're not going to indicate a time when you have class, but if you could do what you're doing in that hour, another hour, you should put both those hours in to maximize your ability to get a tutor. Okay, now you can just probably update your availability and see what it says. Oh, what's it say? Please select at least 10 times. Well, I think at this point you can close it out because I'm just going to take your name and take you off the roll when you get back. What's your name anyway?
Sarah Chapman.
Sarah.
H. Chapman, CHAP.
Let's give Sarah a little hand for being the guinea pig. Thank you, Sarah. Okay, I've enjoyed this time, you guys. I hope you have a great day, and I hope you're all off to a good start. And if you're not off to that good a start, come see us.